According to director Wes Craven, the enduring success of Freddy Krueger as a slasher icon can be directly attributed to his custom-made stab glove, a piece of stab paraphernalia that Craven has admitted was inspired by, of all things, a small cat.
I like how it's specifically a small cat.
Yeah, I believe the story as told by Craven is it's like he got a new pet cat and just watched it like absolutely just tear his couch all the way the fuck up and stared at it and went, that'd be terrifying if it was bigger. And Nisha, as the resident cat expert on the channel, can you attest to the sharpness and danger of a cat's claws for us?
Yes, because when we first got our cats many years ago, they decided to attack the corner of the sofa.
No, just leave it at the corner, because I just want to know if they attack anything with corners. Just cubes were not welcome in Nisha's household for many years. Just anything with corners got fucked all the way up.
And we even put the scratch post next to the corner and they still went around it to still scratch the sofa. It was a mess.
Anti-scratch technology is nothing compared to the cat. And it reminds me a little bit of my old dog Penny, where to keep her off the sofa, we just got this giant squeaky pig, which we bought her as a toy, but she was scared of it. I don't know why.
Oh.
She enjoyed other squeaky toys, but this pig, she was terrified of this pig. So we went, if she doesn't like the pig, we'll put the pig on the sofa, and then she won't go on the sofa. And I remember one day we just came in, and there was just like pink plastic fucking everywhere in the house, and she was on the sofa. I went, she got her confidence back. And cats are very dangerous, and for anyone out there thinking, no, they're not. Yes, they are. And I think a tweet that sums it up, the author of which I've sadly forgotten. So hopefully, if the editor of this piece can track it down, there'll be a little fat bar below, just giving credit where credit's due. Just saying the reason cats are so angry all the time is because they're nature's perfect killing machine, but they weigh like 5 pounds.
When you say they're dangerous and they're killing machines, I really want to put or me or whoever edits this, put in a picture of one of my cats, who's so cute. She looks so harmless. She wouldn't hurt a fly.
With the caption, nature's perfect killing machine. Yeah. Well, they are. Cats are one of the most efficient hunters on planet Earth. They're more efficient a hunter than things like lions, tigers, and cheetahs. All the big cats, their success at hunting is terrible. But cats, they don't even need to hunt for food. They hunt for fun. And they're so successful at it. And I believe there was a cat called, I think it was Tibbs, or something like that is famous for being the only creature on Earth known to be single-handedly responsible for the extinction of an entire species. Because it was just a guy brought his cat to an island when he was working as the lighthouse guard, and the cat killed all the birds on the island, and it just turns out that there was a species of bird on the island that the cat killed that was only endemic to that island, so the cat killed this entire species for fun. He did it for fun. They are one of the most efficient hunters on planet Earth, not for their size, just overall. And according to Craven, he just sat there watching his cat mess his sofa up and thought about the instinctual primal fears of humanity, such as having your balls clawed off by a giant wild animal.
Big oof.
Yeah, big oof indeed. And in specific regards to Freddy Krueger, he was inspired by the witnessing of the couch fuck up by the cat, to just transplant the idea of a giant cat's claw onto the human hand, which I'm only mentioning so we can put in a clip from Thundercats of just the fucking claw gauntlet thing that Lion-O has, because that thing's so dumb.
Lion-O, Lord of the Thundercats, claw shield with array of defensive properties.
Anisha, can we just take a moment to talk about Thundercats?
So I've seen screenshots of it. I've never actually watched it myself.
Oh, okay. Well, if you edit this video, you're going to be watching lots of clips, because at the very least we're putting in the theme song. Because the theme song goes so hard. I don't know why, but it does. That theme, I hold it up there the He-Man theme. Was they didn't need to go this hard, but they did. Because they wanted to, because it was the 80s and it was there were no rules back then. There's just something about shows back then, there was no rules. Why did they get giant adult men to voice these teenage characters and give them such loud, booming, manly voices? They just need to bring back that element of camp. that campiness where there was that knowing nod about we know how stupid this is. The thing with He-Man.
Yep.
Like, where he's like, just, I have the power. It's like, he's so lame. And that's one of the reasons I love the show She-Ra. Because so they lean into that, like, dumb aspect of it. And they have, like, I forget the name of the character now. He's like a sea captain. And he talks like that the entire fucking time. And it's initially really annoying until you realise, oh, they're doing a thing. This is like, this is how the character in the 80s talks. Okay, now I'm fully on board with everything this character says. He's awesome.
Thinking quick, I took on the 40 to 50 Horde soldiers surrounding us and saved Drill!
So yeah, Freddy Krueger was very well known for his stabby glove.
Yeah, like that glove is like, one of the most iconic aspects of the character. It's one of the most iconic things from the genre of like slasher movies as a whole. And Wes Craven was keenly aware that for Freddy Krueger to be memorable, he had to have a weapon that people would immediately recognize. And he pointed to the success of characters like Leatherface, Michael Myers, and Jason Voorhees, all of whom had an iconic weapon with which they were associated, like, Leatherface's chainsaw, Michael Myers' butcher knife, and Jason Voorhees' machete.
So obviously Craven was aware of these iconic weapons that all these slasher villains had, and then there was the cat incident. So how did the stabby glove come about?
Well, when Craven was thinking of the weapon that Freddy Krueger could wield, he thought back to that moment, when he saw his cat, like, fucking up his couch, thought about, man's primal fear, and thought, the claw of the saber-toothed cat, and then thought about translating it to the human hand. And he thought to himself, how would I do that? And I believe the prompt he sent to the prop master for the first Nightmare on Elm Street movie was a glove with steak knives on it. Oof. And that's what the guy made. And it fucking worked, because it is terrifying. It is a horrifying weapon. Like, you see it, and it's like, I do not want to be touched by that. That looks awful.
Yeah, imagine being slapped in the face.
Yeah, that would be like the most just insulting of backhands to be delivered by Freddy Krueger. And for the longest time, I always thought like Freddy Krueger had like the weakest weapon of the iconic slasher villains from his era. Because even the butcher knife, when wielded by Michael Myers, is scary because of how inhumanly strong Michael Myers is. Like when he stabs someone, I think there's a scene in the first movie where he pins them to a wall with how hard he stabs them. And then you have this Leatherface has got a chainsaw, because that's a chainsaw, and then Jason Voorhees has a massive fuck-off machete. I always thought the glove, it looks so tame in comparison. It looks so frail. And my opinion on that changed when I watched X-Men 2, and you have the fight between Wolverine and Lady Deathstrike, who essentially has Freddy Krueger gloves on both hands inside her body. And you just have that bit where she has Wolverine by the throat, and he's just stabbing him through the chest with her glove over and over and over again. It's like, oh god, that's awful. That's so scary. So I've not watched a Nightmare on Elm Street movie in a while, but if I recall correctly, Krueger doesn't often use his glove to kill. He uses it more for intimidation than uses his powers to kill.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, it's but then I watched that X-Men 2 fight scene, oh fuck yeah, that thing would be terrifying. If someone just came at you with that thing, you'd be scared. And that's one of the reasons why Craven was so focused on getting the glove exactly right. And I believe early versions of it had slightly smaller knives, I think fish knives or something like that. Mm-hmm. Or utility knives maybe, ones that had ridges on them.
Yeah.
That you'd use like that, and he went, no, that's not scary enough. You need a clean cutting edge. You need that simple silhouette of just the clawed gloved hand, reminiscent of a giant wild animal. Because that's essentially what Krueger is. He's he's a predator, a dream predator, if you will. So you don't want to mess with that. And he wanted to lean into that imagery, and it worked because that thing, as mentioned, is the most iconic aspect of Freddy Krueger, with the possible exception of the hat and the sweater when worn in combination.
I just remembered someone I know went as Freddy Krueger for a Halloween party, and then they had the plastic version of that. It was so funny. Big plastic glove, yeah. And that's the thing, it's it doesn't look scary when you just see a dude stood there doing it, and you have to give props to Robert Englund's performance as Freddy Krueger for making the character so scary. He played the character in almost every fucking sequel. I think the only one he didn't is the reboot, where they got Jackie O'Haley, I believe the guy who played Rorschach in the Watchmen movie, to play him instead. Yeah.
And, he did a good performance, but he's just not Robert Englund. To end on, because it's just a funny story I stumbled across while researching this article. The character of Freddy Krueger, as Wes Craven anticipated, was very, very popular, in part thanks to that glove. And the glove is actually seen as such an important part of the character that, according to Robert Englund, when he was at an event to promote one of the many sequels to Nightmare on Elm Street, they had him pose with a couple of scantily clad ladies, and those scantily clad ladies really liked spending time with Freddy Krueger and invited Robert Englund to join them in their hotel room. The only caveat being that he had to keep the costume on and wear the glove.
Oh no.
I didn't need to tell anyone that, but I had that image in my head when I was writing this article, and now you've got it too.